Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Very interesting show is going to start, so would you like to come forward and sit? My name is Saikani, and this is Mr. Atif, Mohammed Atif. We come from Disability Inclusive Disaster Risk Reduction Network. We're going to introduce the idea how the person with disability should be included in a community-based disaster risk reduction in action. Not just talking, but how can we do it? So I'd like to show you the video first. It's a very evidence-based short video for all of you. And after that, I'd like to introduce Mr. Atif. Okay?
Thank you. Can you start the video, please? It's already there. Video. Thank you. Let's start it.
This is time to make a comeback to life. We are here for you. Let's stand against this tide. No more tears.
जब यहाँ पे सैलाब वगैरह आते हैं तो सबसे ज़्यादा जो मुताबिक
Whenever this area is hit by flood, persons with disabilities are most affected. Our families try hard to save their cattle and livestock because it is most important for them than us. Sometimes they leave us behind. We have to surrender our lives to flood, hunger or helplessness.
या फिर कहीं एक कोने में पड़े पड़े जो तो वो अपनी ज़िंदगी इसी तरह से ख़त्म कर देते हैं.
Don't let the tears shed. Live again, live again for the brighter future ahead. Live again. This ain't you, you are more.
यहाँ पर अक्सर सैलाब बहुत ज़्यादा आया करते हैं जिसकी वजह से
Here we often face floods, due to which persons with disabilities are neglected and they face a huge financial and life loss. But this time we had an appropriate arrangements which include red flags on the houses of persons with disabilities for their proper identification. And people took them at safer place, which results in no life loss and they are living a proper life.
मैं जो मौजू मकाम है वहाँ पर उठा कर ले जाती थी जिसकी वजह से हमें इस पर कोई जानी नुकसान नहीं हुआ है और सैलाब के बाद भी हम उसी तरह अपनी ज़िंदगी गुजार रहे हैं.
है सबको यहाँ रहना है हमको यहाँ. Live again. Don't let the tears shed. Live again. Live again for the brighter future ahead. Live again.
Thank you. According to WHO's estimate, 15% of the world populations are people living with disability. So they are one of the most vulnerable population when the disaster hit in your community. But at the same time, we discuss how can they be included in a disaster management planning and how can they contribute to the community resilience altogether, the equal participation with other population. Now I'd like to ask Mr. Atif, why is it important to include person with disability in a disaster management planning?
Thank you, Sai. This is obvious that people with disabilities, like 650 million people with disabilities are living in this world. And most of them are living in the developing countries. And due to lack of having basic facilities such as accessibility for the person with physical disabilities, communication accessibility for the people with visual impairment or people with hearing impairment, and communication disability for all kinds of disabilities, these people with disabilities are out of the mainstream of the society. They're living out of, they don't have access to even the basic facilities such as health, education, or economic activities or livelihood. So they remain out of the mainstream. And in case of disasters or in the areas which are most hit by disasters or these calamities, they are the last to be rescued. Just because of having this miscommunication or the barriers of communication. So once we include people with disabilities in the development plans, or we prepare for these communication or accessibility things, they can be included disaster risk reduction. And one more very important thing, that persons with disabilities are never included in these DRR plannings. They always have been considered as the passive beneficiaries. And that's why they are only rescued when the disaster hit some areas, or all the rescue teams have rescued all major other groups. So people with disabilities are always last to rescue. So we need to include them at the planning stage when we are planning for the DRR. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Atif. Maybe in Japanese, I learned that the death of the person with disability after the Great Eastern Earthquake was twice as much more than non-disabled people. This is Japan, already technologically advanced, DRR is well in place. There's still twice as much more person with disability died. How about in developing country context? This is unimaginable. So how, now we know, okay, it's important. How can we include person with disability?
This actually, we took few years to answer this how. Have you seen this video? We have implemented a one-year project in 4 countries, am I right, 4 or 5 countries, to include persons with disabilities in DRR planning and implementation. Persons with disabilities are always considered as like they will be demanding, they will be beneficiaries only, or they will be recipient of the charities, but we don't consider their opinion. They are the expert of their own disabilities. They know best what to do for them. So it's better to decide about them, include them in the decision making. This is the solution we have come up with DRR practices in Pakistan, in Thailand, Vietnam, and Bangladesh that include them from the beginning in decision-making process. Whenever hazard mapping is going on, if you can include people with disabilities, they can tell you what kind of hazards they face, or what kind of hazard, particularly in the hazard mapping, they will be the best to guide you that how to make our plan, DRR plan. Secondly, when you are planning for the communication and early warning systems, in most of the early warning systems we have seen since morning, even since yesterday, people with disabilities are not included. Like if our early warning system will be inclusive, it will be inclusive for all kinds of disabilities, then they can be rescued, their lives can be saved, or they can be included in the DRR process.
Thank you. So, how are we going to include a person with disability? Ask them. If we don't know what we're going to do for them, ask them. Because the person with disability know exactly how they need to be assisted. If you invite them, if you have a meeting in the second floor with the steps, they cannot come in. If you have a meeting room in the ground floor, the people can come in, they can come in. If they have a communication difficulty, Mr. Ali sitting there is a visual impairment, we can narrate to it. Yeah, we are talking about the map. Here are the things, here is, he can narrate to it. He can contribute. If there's a person with hearing impairment, The family member can come, the sign interpreter come, help them to facilitate understanding it. So do not see disability as something that you can overcome, because they are have a full capacity to contribute, but they don't see them as a burden, because we are the one not seeing what they can contribute. You have to give them opportunity, allowing the environment so that they can access, so they can come and contribute. We are having a side event on 17th, day after tomorrow, in the Tokyo Restaurant Hall, 1:30. We're going to have a more in-depth discussion how to include person with disability, very simple solution for non-technical expert on disability. Yep. So please take the brochure here, and we invite all of you to come and join and very active discussion how the person with disability can come. This is the first world conference. We saw the sign interpretation in front of SG, in front of, all these, the country head. This is the one of the milestone for the disability group. We have more than hundreds of disability people friends here. It's the first time we see in the World Conference of the United Nations. This is the best event, so please understand. Please come to our event.
Adding to what Sai has said already, that the disability was never included in DRR meetings, but since the Asian Ministers Conference held in Indonesia, the sixth ministerial conference held in Bangkok, and global platform, and now in this important meeting, disability inclusion has been highlighted, even by the Secretary General of the United Nations, even by the Prime Minister of Japan. The participation of persons with disabilities in the disaster risk reduction planning is unavoidable. And the only last message I would like to give here that we have to find disability in this built environment, not in the human body. We have to find disability as a diversity. If we want to include everyone in DRR, we have to find out disability in the environment. If environment is accessible, if communication is accessible, no one will be excluded. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So this World Conference, the Secretary General said sustainability start from Sendai. We would say inclusion start from Sendai. Thank you.